Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. RJ De Torres, your science teacher, and for today, we'll be talking about proteins. Okay, so this topic will be focusing on the world of amoeba, Euglena, and paramecium cells. But before that, let me read to you first our objective. So after this lesson, you will be able to describe, or you can be able to describe the characteristics of proteins and how it will obtain energy. Okay, before we will proceed to our lesson, I want you first to watch this video for you to have or for you to familiarize first what is all about proteins. Please watch it. Okay, so that is all about proteins. So as of now, we will now be tackling about the kingdom protista of its common characteristics. So usually, proteins is single-celled organism, so that means they only have one cell. They live in moist environment, and they vary in how they move and obtain energy. So, of course, proteins are eukaryotic and they always have a nucleus. Okay? So, how does proteins obtain energy? Because they can be what? Autotrophic or heterotrophic. So, they are animal-like wherein they capture or trap food. And they also plant-like, wherein they produce food through the process of photosynthesis. And fungus-like, they have external digestion as decomposers or parasites. Okay, so let's talk about amoebas. What is all about amoebas? So amoebas are single-celled organisms, and they live in water, including lakes, ponds, streams, rivers, and puddles. So these are the special features of amoeba. They spend most of their time attached to the bottom or to plants. All the amoebas of the same species will unattach from the bottom or plants and float around until they land in a new place and reattach. So amoebas are helpful when they control algae in ponds, lakes, and streams. So how does amoeba move? They move because they have pseudopod. Okay, this can be read as pseudopod, silent P, or in false foot, because they have finger-like projection of the cell membrane and cytoplasm used to catch food and move. So how do you think? So this is not an example of amoeba. It's a very tiny organism. Okay, so how does amoeba eat? Or how do you think? To eat, the amoeba stretches out the pseudopod, surrounds a piece of food, and pulls it into the rest of the amoeba's body. Amoebas only eat algae, bacteria, other protozoans, and tiny particles of dead plant or animal matter. So amoeba eating. So this is a picture of how or during of how amoebas is eating. So as you can see here, it eats a protozoan, a living creature as well. So it's like that. So amoeba, when it comes to reproduction, they reproduce asexually. Okay, meaning to say they reproduce on their own. So as you can see here, you can see that it is just only one, but when you can see in this second picture, it tries to divide, and of course the results turn to be successful. They divide it into two. So what about Euglena? Euglena, it looks slimy, a lot like algae. Some people say it looks like pea soup. You will find them in water, ponds, or marshes. Okay, so what are the special features of Euglena? Euglena are interesting because they are a sort of combination of plant and animal, and some Euglena are green because they have chlorophyll from eating green algae. So chlorophyll, that is a green pigment that is present only in plants. And Euglena can make their own food like a plant, but they can also eat other things like an animals. So that's how unique Euglena are. What about its movement? As you can see here, Euglena has flagellum, or singular, plural is flagella, meaning to say flagella are a long whip-like tail used to move and catch food. How and what does the Euglena eat? It has a red eye spot that it uses it to locate light. Without light, it cannot use its chloroplast or green parts in the body to make itself food, and algae is a source of chloroplast. Okay, so when Euglena doesn't have enough light to make its own food, it looks for other things to eat. Like swimming around, it preys on other tiny organisms such as amoeba and paramecium. So the Euglena, same with the amoeba, Euglena reproduce asexually, wherein they splits itself in half. We also have Paramecium. When we talk about Paramecium, an oval sleeper-shaped microorganism rounded at the front or top and pointed at a back or bottom. They live in aquatic environments, usually in stagnant and warm water. Okay, so what special about the Paramecium? So Paramecium, it has a sleeper-like shape. It follows a spiral path while rotating on the long axis, and it is known for its avoidance behavior. So if it counters a negative stimulus, it can rotate up to 360 degrees to find an escape route. So movement of the Paramecium, Euglena has flagella, which is a whip-like. Cilia it is a hair-like. Okay, cilia, small hair, live projections used to sweep food into its mouth or move. So as you can see here in this picture, these are the cilia that is present in the structure of Paramecium, wherein this is responsible on how for the movement of Paramecium. Okay. So Paramecium feeding habits include: it feeds on microorganisms like bacteria, algae, and yeast. They play a role in the carbon cycle because the bacteria they eat are often found on decaying plants. And they will also eat the decaying plant matter, further aiding others. Okay? So how does Paramecium reproduces? So since Euglena and amoeba, they reproduce asexually, how does Paramecium reproduces? Okay, Paramecium are capable of both sexual and asexual reproduction. Okay, Paramecium can reproduce asexually 2 or 3 times a day, and Paramecium only reproduce sexually under stressful conditions. So it is how this explains of how does Paramecium reproduce sexually and asexually. Okay. So for the recap of our lesson this morning, the Protist kingdom is one of the most diverse groups and includes organisms that have characteristics similar to but are not classified as plants, animals, or fungi. So these microorganisms live in moist environment and vary in how they obtain energy and move. Okay, so that is all about our lesson about amoeba. There are the different types of protists: amoeba, euglena, and Paramecium. Each of those protists has unique characteristics and unique features on how they will be able to survive and interact with their own ecosystem. So if you have any questions, please type your comment below or email me at adtorres@marlboro.k12.sc.us. I am very happy and willing to answer all your questions about this lesson. Well, thank you and take good care of yourselves and be safe always. Bye.